Australia has pledged $955 million for the Great Barrier Reef, but the threat of climate change is imminent. Singapore, the Australian government has pledged an additional $1 billion Australian dollars to protect the health of the Great Barrier Reef, but some scientists say this will do nothing to reduce the main risk to its future, climate change. Emissions from burning fossil fuels are heating up the oceans, causing marine heatwaves that have triggered widespread damage to the world's largest coral reef ecosystem in recent years. Yet the government has been criticized internationally for its weak climate targets and for backing fossil fuel export. The funding plan, which comes just months before a national election, was formally unveiled by Prime Minister Scott Morrison on Friday and Environment Minister Susan Ley near Cairns in North Queensland, a state that is a major coal and liquefied natural gas exporter. Mr. Morrison's ruling Liberal National Coalition faces an election fight in a number of seats that border the 2,300 kilometers reef, including the federal seat of Leichhardt that incorporates Cairns, a major gateway to the reef. What we have been doing throughout our term is ensuring that we're putting the reef first, because when you do that, everybody else benefits, Mr. Morrison said, pointing to the more than 60,000 people who rely on the reef's tourism industry, which generates more than $6 billion Australian dollars annually. Ms. Ley said, "We know that climate change is the biggest threat to the reef, and we play our part internationally when it comes to emissions. But we also know that building a healthy and resilient reef is absolutely the best thing we can do in the face of those pressures." The opposition Labour Party criticized the plan as an election ploy, saying if the government was truly committed to saving the reef, they would do more to tackle climate change. The $1 billion Australian dollars funding over 9 years includes nearly $600 million Australian dollars to improve water quality, covering work on erosion, land condition and reducing runoff of pesticides and nutrients from cattle farms, sugarcane and banana crops. Another $253 million Australian dollars is for reef management and conservation, including work to control coral-eating crown-of-thorns starfish and prevent illegal fishing. A further $92.7 million Australian dollars is to assist programs to boost reef restoration and adaptation to climate change. The pledge is in addition to more than $2 billion Australian dollars already outlined in the federal government's Reef 2050 plan. Scientists, however, said there should be a stronger focus on addressing the climate change risks to the reef. Fears are growing for the future of the reef because of rising global temperatures and heat being stored in the ocean. Corals bleach or turn a ghostly white when exposed to long periods of above-average water temperatures. If the temperature does not return to normal levels within a few weeks, the corals can die. 3 mass bleaching episodes in 2020, 2017 and 2016 led to widespread loss of shallow water corals on the Great Barrier Reef, greatly hurting the reef's natural ability to recover. This injection of federal government funding is crucial in ensuring that we still have iconic Great Barrier Reef ecosystems for future generations to enjoy and sustainably build their livelihoods upon, said Dr. Karen Joyce, a senior lecturer at James Cook University in Queensland. But with increasing sea surface temperatures arguably one of the greatest stressors for the reef, we must not lose sight of this challenge, she said. Last year, the measurement of global ocean heat, called ocean heat content, reached another record, the 6th in a row. Unless you are cutting emissions deeply this decade, the situation on the reef will only get worse. This is essentially like using a bunch of band-aids to try and mend a broken leg, said Dr. Leslie Hughes, professor of biology at Macquarie University, and a member of Australia's Climate Council, a non-profit climate change communications organization. Last year, Unesco warned it intended to list the Great Barrier Reef as in danger. The Australian government successfully staved off an immediate listing. It is due to submit a report to UNESCO in February that outlines how it is protecting the reef.